think we need a phone call, that's good. Let's do a quick announcement to my Discord. Cool. Now let's get everything up and running. I think this is good. So, a lot of stuff has happened. I have been busy. Let's do the usual scene for the intro, then we'll show you what's been going on. Hi, my name's Tom Marks. Welcome to another programming live stream. Today we're doing more work on my PlayStation 2 game, building a bit of a side scroller to test out a couple of strategies for how an actual game will work on the PlayStation 2. We've got something fairly straightforward working, things like collision, a simple character controller. At the moment I'm working on adding content to a game and building a level out of the workflow. I've been integrating with LDTK, and as of yesterday morning I have a pipeline where I can build tile maps in LDTK, save them, compile them into a PlayStation 2 specific file format, and then load that into my game engine on real hardware. So I think a good way to start would be to show that right now. Now, annoyingly, I have to change the smoothing mode on this to get it to pick up. The smoothing mode I need to show this screen is different to the smoothing mode that looks optimal for my actual game. But let's have a look at the game. Let's have a look at the way the game is being built at the moment, right? This is LDTK, this is a tile map. This gets saved into a big JSON file, which looks like this. Bunch of stuff in here. I wrote a Python script called compile LDTK, which reads this and puts it together. It serializes it, it writes it out in various integer packed formats, which we can read out. And that's what I built. I built the reader, and then I built this compiler off stream because it was really boring, because it was just working out a bunch of JSON keys. There's this file which just does all the JSON key stuff. Not particularly interesting. The conversions into things that make sense from how LDTK stores stuff. So we can go from this, and then we can load it onto a PlayStation 2. Okay, and so I can run PS2. And hopefully this is going to work first time, no problems. Because that would be silly if it didn't. Bobius, good morning. Oh yeah, here we are. So this is what we just saw in LDTK. And it looks ugly because I drew my own tile set. And I'm going to continue to draw my own stuff, but I'm going to make it look less ugly as I go. But yeah, so that is the thing that we loaded. Or the thing that we made. Loaded, running on a real PlayStation 2. That's a cool workflow. Bobius says there are libraries for LDTK in Python that would have made it easier. Yes, but then I would have had to depend on a library. Every time I do LDTK, I just kind of write my own little wrapper that does exactly what I need and no more, because I would rather not have a Python, like a pipenv, and have requirements. I would rather just run it in Python. Cool. So this works and is kind of crummy, but also kind of good, right? Which is what I love. That's kind of my brand at this point, I think. So there's a few things we can't do though, right? Previously we had this big scrolling world. You could load in levels in chunks, and they would, the next level would load and you could move around in it. Currently we are not quite there yet. Let me just try to reset this. Then I have to press buttons while it's resetting, which is kind of weird. So one of the cool things that LDTK lets us do is make a new level over here, right? We don't want that. We want what am I doing? Current level settings. Oh yeah, I want to be on the tile layer, that's right. So we've got this game world, and I am zooming all over the place with my level settings. How can I move this? Do I just have to blob it together? So we can define levels that connect to each other, right? And these will all have their own little collision maps and their own little decoration layer where we can put in tiles. I guess I'll put a different tile in here, right? And the goal is that we will load the next thing when we hit certain points in this level. So for example, in this level, there's a loading zone which should load the next thing. That's the goal. Cool, let me just pop out chat real quick so we can see what people are saying. Is there a Linux terminal for the PS2? There are not, there's no Linux, well, there's Linux for the PlayStation 2. if you're only concerned with supporting a subset of LDTK, it's not a lot of work. Exactly. It's a couple of keys in a dictionary. I wasn't, like, I looked at how much work it would be, and by the time I'd just had a go at, you know, like, you work out how much work something's going to be by kind of hacking a simple proof of concept. By the time I've hacked a proof of concept together, I was pretty much done anyway, so I just rolled with it until it breaks. But also, if it breaks, then I can fix it rather than waiting for a library to fix it. So I think that's kind of good. So currently we have this loading zone, which should load the next level if we, say, come into this level and decide to call it entry 02. Except LDTK uppercases the first letter of things by default, which kind of sucks. So I undo that in my code. When I load these level names, I make them all lowercase, which is good, in my opinion. So entry 2, which I think we need to save. Yeah, good. Okay, so the goal is that this should load this. I don't know if there's a better way to link these things together other than just a string. At the moment, it really is just a string that I typed in here. It would be cool to link it together in a better way, but that might be mysterious. But anyway, currently this is ignored by my code and my loader, because I don't really have the concept of some kind of like collision area that triggers something. So we need to build that. The other thing I want is to have a kind of entity, and let me define it right now. Let's call it decoration. Or let's just call it deco, right? A decoration entity where it just represents an image and I can place it somewhere. And we're gonna, you know, do cool things. So for example, right? For example, in my compile LDTK, when we go through every level, when we write a level to a buffer, textures, yeah. So when we work with a level, we get every texture that level references, and we add it as an asset that level needs to load. So basically the idea is that if we add decorations in this script, in this magical textures function, we're just going to pick them up and it'll get linked together, and everything's relative to this file just here. So it'll be a path asset something, and then we can load that path from the binary as well, because we're building our WOD relative to this directory now. So that's kind of cool, right? It kind of just works. We have a script that packs it all together into our WOD file, and then we don't have to worry about anything. As long as assets.wod is here, our game can load all these files together. It's good. This is the WOD file kind of paying off in an interesting way. Cool. So that's something we want to do as well. So I'm going to define just like the outline of what this looks like right now. And it's going to be resizable, maybe, I guess. I'm not totally sure. Can I have... So I can reference a tile. I don't know if I can reference an image. I'll have to think about that. Maybe I won't do that one now. Maybe we'll have to come back and do some other LDTK stuff for that. But definitely the idea of having things that trigger events. And actually, I've called this a loading zone entity, but I think I'm going to make this more generic. And I think I'm going to get rid of this collider tag. That sucks. But region, or let's call it a trigger, right? An area that when you collide with it triggers some kind of event. So we're going to call it trigger zone. And now, as well as, let's have a string that's event name or event type. Maybe. Or maybe this is, then we'll call this arg, right? So now instead of this, we'll say arg is entry 02, and event type will be load level. Cool. And we'll have a bunch of these. And we're going to go through every entity in this level and add it some way into our level in the game. Now, another cool idea is that the game itself doesn't really know. We can kind of contain that all within a level. And we'll see what we mean in a second. So we're gonna start with this bit because I think it's more interesting. I think it's going to pave the way for everything else. So let's first off make a branch. Let's first off add the compile LDTK file. These critical files that actually do all this work here. M Okay, now let's make a branch. Let's call it trigger area. Trigger area, trigger zone, something like that, okay? And what we really want is in our LDTK file, right? If we have a level, we want to be able to say areas. They're trigger areas. That's a better name, right? For layer and self dot entity layers. So for every entity layer, we want to check if for entity in layer.entities, I guess, right? Iterate over every entity. If entity, now we need to look at what this is, at what actually got saved here. So let's open up game world and let's look for trigger zone. Now is this 185, is this a definition? I think this is a definition, yeah. Cool, so this is an instance. Layer instances, entity layer, entity instances, cool. So if the identifier, I guess, is the class name, that's not quite what I thought, but that makes sense. It has a tag that says trigger. Let's go by identifier, right? Maybe it should be a tag instead. Let's go by identifier for now. I think it's simpler. And I've kind of called identifier name, so that's fine. Equals, and let's make it lowercase. Trigger zone. So if it's a trigger zone, then we're gonna yield entity, and that's it. That's all we do. I use uLaunchElf. Launch code, no, not quite. I use uLaunchElf. uLaunchElf just runs arbitrary programs. It's just a launcher. The program that actually runs the actual program launcher is called PS2 client and PS2 link. Those are the two halves. PS2 link runs on the PS2 and PS2 client runs on the PC. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, yeah. So that you can do terminal output. PS2 SDK has good functions for just printing to the screen, but it all has to go through like textures and the graphic synthesizer and stuff. It's a bit more complicated than a normal terminal output. It's drawing sprites. The PS2 has no text mode. Right? It's not a like a BIOS. I see why you'd say it, Bobius, because I run uLaunchElf. uLaunchElf, it's just a file browser. And you can just like run random files, but I have you can set shortcuts so that you press a button on the home screen that launches something automatically. So I have it set to L1, so I run uLaunchElf and I hold down L1, and as soon as uLaunchElf loads, it loads the next program, and it just saves me navigating to my USB and running the binary. Cool. So what are we doing with these trigger areas in compile LDTK? Level. Let's do it here. Self.areas. And this is a list, and we're gonna say for area in O dot. For every trigger area, we're just gonna say level add area. We add the entity. Cool. Yeah, these are the ones. Thank you, Bobby. It's PS2 client and PS2 link. Awesome. Really cool little programs. You might find that when you run code through PS2 client, when you launch an elf through it, it does other things, by the way. Just for a quick note, PS2 client, it does a couple. You have to do -h. It doesn't do double dash. It doesn't understand. It gets confused. Command line parsing's hard. I only ever use it to run exec.ee, like run code on the emotion engine, and to reset. But you can run IOP programs. You can power off. You can dump stuff out. You can dump regions of memory, which is really cool. You can do VU stuff. You can run, I don't know what gsexec really does, but you can run arbitrary GS stuff, which is cool. you can also do file system stuff, which is very nice. This never works for me, but in theory, being able to copy stuff over to a USB on my PlayStation 2 without unplugging it and plugging it back into my PC, that's really cool. And this would be great for hard drive stuff as well. But again, it's never worked for me. Oh well. Excellent. Level dot areas dot push. Actually, that's what I wanted. Cool. So now we're also going to have to serialize. Let's say serialize areas, and let's do entities separately. Let's also have, self.entities, right? But let's just focus on areas now. Let's laser focus on areas for now. And maybe this should be a function. Def add area self a. It's probably better to do this to not care that there's, an underlying array. Add area. Cool. And I should probably do a similar thing here as well and say like area.from LDTK and parse it into something more useful. Let's go class area. Okay, so what does an area have in it? It's going to have a kind, and it's going to have an arg, just a string arg, and it's also going to have a x, y, width, and a height, and they should probably come first. Kind arg. This is all we care about for an area. So self dot bounds equals x, y, width, height. Self dot kind equals kind, and self dot arg equals arg. Beautiful. And that's it. I think that's literally everything we care about. So then we're going to have a static method where we say from LDTK we're going to get dimensions. We're going to say width, height. We're going to keep the same kind of shape here, right? Because I'm pretty sure entities have the same kind of stuff. Actually, no. Okay, width, height. Now these are in pixels, I'm pretty sure, but I want to double check. Yeah, that makes sense. Three 16 by 16 tiles, that's 48, so that's good. PX, I assume this is the position. 100, let's think about 133, yeah, okay. So this is the pixel position, this is the width, this is the height. Easy. Very, very easy to do. So, let's make another wrapper type. And we're going to go class LDTK entity. We don't do curly braces here, we do colons. I looked away. Cricket was too funny and distracting. Self.kind equals kind. It's good to know we're making my levels a nice person. Yeah. No self.kind equals mean. Cricket, how's Deep Space Nine? What are you up to? What's happening? Have you met Wei Yun? Okay, so we're going to do get dimensions. You haven't watched more Deep Space Nine, Cricket. That's very disappointing. That's very, very disappointing. And you guys didn't watch Dracula 2000 either. Halloween's over, right? You missed your chance. Or if you did watch Dracula 2000, you did it and didn't tell me about it, which I think is worse. If you haven't seen Dracula 2000, this is an official Tom Marks Talks Code recommendation. Quality, bad movie. Robert Fortitus, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to this PlayStation 2 coding adventure. Okay, get dimensions. From the dictionary, we're going to grab the width and the height. Cool. You haven't watched Ignore Him? What a mysterious message. Did I also say get? Yeah, okay, so let's say xy equals o dot get position get offset. get the like place, and I don't know if that's a world offset or a level offset. We want the, okay, so actually this is kind of important, right? Now, LDTK does publish world X, world Y. Okay, so if there's a world X and a world Y, I assume that this is the local X and Y, and we want local X and Y. We want this stuff to be local to the level. That's how we do things. That's how we do things. The game engine is responsible for adding those offsets. And that's just more consistent and easier. So let's say get offset self, and all we do is, we have to say return here, by the way. We're not writing Rust. You know, I wish we were writing Rust. Dict. Actually, hold on. Let's do this better. xy equals self.dict px return xy. Turn list into a tuple. One of my favorite Python activities. Okay, so we've got the x and the y, and then we need to grab the field instances. Okay. So, now, I think we want to just say, we want an API that says in our entity, let's do it from here. Let's have a thing that says get field now, and it should have a name as well. So and maybe this should be more generic. Maybe this should actually go on like our base type or something. Maybe this should be part of that. And we'd just say like, let's do this. Let's say for field in self.dict field instances. Also, would this be actually faster and more efficient code if I used a simple namespace? Would simple namespace kind of like, I don't know. Because I'm doing a lot of dictionary key referencing, I'm wondering if turning it into a simple namespace up front would somehow be more efficient, would somehow have better like pre-hashing of fields or something, right? If that makes sense? I don't know. Maybe that makes no sense. Maybe it's literally the same thing, because it's all going to happen at runtime anyway, because it's Python. But maybe in a compiled language, that would be more of a consideration. But Python does like a compilation into Python bytecode, right? So for every field instances, we want to check if field identifier equals name, then we found the thing. And this is what we return. We're gonna now result. Well, let's just return real editor values. I don't know if I care about that. Return field value. Otherwise, we're going to raise an exception. No such field name. And I need to put an F there, because otherwise it's not a format string. Excellent. Cool. Okay. This is a good entity API. So now, when we're compiling LDTK, we can just say return area x, y width, height, o.get field. Now, what did I call this field? Did I call it kind or did I call it type? Because I really can't seem to decide. I called it event type. And then o.get field arg. Beautiful. Beautiful. I think that's good. I think that's really good. Okay, so we've got an area, and we've got an area in a nicer. This is kind of a data class, I guess, as well. Maybe. Maybe it would be better to represent this as a data class, but I'm too far gone now. So area, so we've built an area. Now we're going to have to serialize areas. And we're just going to add a new thing, right? A new sub-serializer, a new function that's going to do it. Serialize. We're going to serialize area definitions. Now, DC here is an abstraction called a data chunk, because when we write headers, right? We have headers where we say, you know, there's 4 tile maps in this level, these are their properties. But the actual data for the tile map doesn't go there, because we want to be able to read all the headers in a block and then walk through them, and, you know, it has an offset to a later point in the file where the actual tile map's stored. So when we do that, we make a key that represents a unique identifier for this tile map. This is Python local. While we're iterating through, we make space later on in the file for where the actual like tile map is going to go, and then we fill it in. But we don't actually, we associate the data with a key, so we kind of get the current header, the current head of the allocation block for what represents the data chunk, the data section of the file that has the tile map, that has the file names. And we don't actually write anything to it. We do this kind of deferred write, and then later on it works out how to put it all together in the right spot. It's a kind of clever abstraction. It does this funny little calculation. And it just means that we don't have to care about whether we're writing a header or data. We just power on. We just say, okay, you know, here's the next thing, here's the next thing. Just keep going and keep pushing forward. We never have to look back. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to make a byte array. This is not the ideal way to do this. Like, when we actually write things out, we write these straight to a buffer. We probably could be a bit smarter at how things get written here and write directly to rather than building these silly arrays. But this is what we're doing for now. We've got an API in place so that we can optimize this later if it becomes slow, but if it never gets slow, we're not going to optimize it, because otherwise you're just spinning your wheels. So for self.areas. For every area, we're going to make a key representing that area. This is kind of unnecessary because these two calls ended up being right next to each other, but that's okay. Again, this was just kind of nice from the API of this thing point of view. Okay, so we're going to say area I. We're going to say so the arg. The arg is the thing that needs to go somewhere. So we'll say arg offset is dc alloc. We'll use our key and we use the length of. Maybe should we do both parts of the string, right? Do we want because we have 2 strings basically, right? In theory, we should serialize the event type into an integer. In practice, it might be fine to not do that, right? In practice, we might actually want to not serialize this here. Oh, no, you know what? If we've mistyped this string, we want to catch it at level compile time, not at runtime when the player hits the area. We want to catch this now. So yeah, we actually do want to when we get this there. So let's say event kind equals o.get field event type. Gonna go here. We're gonna say event kind. Let's say area event kind. Encode area event kind. And this should really be encode tile map kind, but we'll get there. So this is the same kind of thing. If I equals, we've said load level return 1. Invalid area cool. That's not too complicated. Bobius was not aware of simple namespaces. It looks like the only thing to be faster is comparing objects made with it, since it compares by attributes instead of by their ID. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, I guess it just has an overloaded, like, dot field resolver. Kind of like you can do in Lua, right? With, like, you can just overload the generic object get and it takes a key and it can just look up a dictionary underneath. I guess it's something like that. So it doesn't actually do any like pre-massaging of the fields, right? It can still actually resolve them dynamically, I assume, if the underlying dictionary changes. I assume. Like if you add a new key, you don't have to recreate the simple namespace. I guess. Maybe if you did some kind of pre-computed simple namespace where you snapshotted all of the keys in the dictionary, you could do some kind of processing that would make it faster. But I imagine the Python dictionary is already pretty much as good as it could be for that. Anyway, neither here nor there. Focus, Tom. Cool. So basically, yeah, we need to load this arg from somewhere because it's a string. We don't know how long the string is. Unless we just make it a fixed size string that's like 20 characters or something. But let's just put it later in the file. Why not? What if we want a really long level name for some reason? It can't hurt. That's what we do with asset names. So let's do it for this as well. Let's say length of area.arg. Now we're going to pack it in here, and this is going to be a similar thing, right? So we're going to have a offset, width, height. Width and height have to be positive. XY, width, height. There's going to be a type, which is going to be a half, I guess, half word. We don't need a full integer for that. And then it'll be a file offset. So, and actually the file offset is going to be an I as well. So, name. Interestingly, name offset here, this is signed. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. I'm pretty sure. So let's just quickly check. Python struct pack. And there's a big table right near the front of this. Unsigned. My mistake. Capital I is unsigned. I got these backwards. So this should be I, and we can actually just say for I. Excellent. So struct pack, we've got this. So we say a.bounds 0, a.bounds 1, a.bounds 2, a.bounds 3. Is there a way that we can like spread operator this? There might be some clever Python thing we can do there. And then we have the kind, which is a.kind, and arg offset. Beautiful. And then we say DC write to, we take our key and we turn a.arg into ASCII encoded bytes. If we can't encode it as ASCII, we have a problem. We're only dealing with ASCII. That's all I want. I don't want anything tricky. And then we return. We just join it all together in a really dumb way. Okay, cool. So time map definitions, asset definitions, and then we're going to do area definitions. Beautiful. All to the same data chunk, which then gets appended at the end. Okay, so what happens if I build this right now? Python assets compile LDTK. We're going to give it gameworld.ldtk. Okay, there are some errors. LDTK entity layer. That's good. Did I just not make this important critical kind entity layer? I just haven't made this yet. So that actually makes sense. Tile layer. Let's go. Collision layer. Int grid layer. I think this has been superseded. Okay, entity layer. Nice. And the only thing we actually use from this so far is entities. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna just inherit this this iterator. So we're gonna say for I guess we just return self.dict game world self.dict entity instances. Okay, now let's try again. That's better. Trigger areas. Get name. Dict object has no attribute get name. Trigger area. Dict object entity for area and trigger areas. Oh, trigger areas. Entity for every entity. Sorry, so this is where I need to say LDTK entity. Now what did I? Yeah, LDTK tile layer, LDTK entity. Entity get name. Okay, this is the same issue. LDTK entity. What did I do here? LDTK entity layer, LDTK entity trigger areas, right? Trigger area, dict object. Huh. Line 122. Oh, for entity and entity. Ah, my mistake. My mistake. Okay, so we do this here. So we'll say EO entity equals LDTK entity EO. There we go, entity. Because we're checking the name first. Okay, there we go. There we go. Beautiful. Very, very, very curious chat message. Oh, man. Cool. So that appears to have worked. I can splat if the list is exactly the right length. Yeah, yeah. That's what I thought. So, talking about this struct, this. If the list is exactly the right length, yeah. So where I'm doing this, right? I can't splat this tuple out because there's two extra things. You can't mix a splat and something else, apparently. You have to double check. Yeah, Zymus, hello, welcome, thank you. You had some advice for me the other day, right? You were helping out with my alignment issue, I think. What were you saying? Figuring out how to use DSNet. Yeah, you suggested DSNet tools for debugging. I haven't actually. I don't really know what that is. Give me the rundown on DSNet. I've been meaning to ask you about it more. Yeah. If A.bounds has 4 items, I can splat it, but I need 6 items. So, yeah. Not quite. Not quite. And the 2 of them are signed and 2 of them are unsigned. Anyway. Let's try and read this in. So this is in format.c. Now, oh, it has 4 items, I can splat it, and then there's the 2 after. Hold on. Ah, okay. Hold on. Let me try that real quick. Let me try that real quick, because that would be nicer, wouldn't it? So I can say star a. I can just splat it out in line. Iterable. Oh, yeah. A.bounds. That checks out. Whoa, that works. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's actually really cool. I like this. I like this. Okay, so. The only thing I don't know is when we actually swap the active level. DSNet has DSEDB, which is Sony's debugger, used on a retail PS2. I have heard of this actually, yeah. DS. Is this one of the ones, like, it traditionally uses some outputs that we don't have, right? It can't do source level debugging with modern code, but it's better than nothing. Yeah. Yeah. TDB startup card. I was gonna obtain a test, actually, a PS2 test console a while ago. Someone was gonna send me one, but that fell through because it was valuable enough that we had to do like a special customs declaration, and it was maybe gonna cost me money. And I had to give a phone number. Which, yeah, I don't know. It was like a whole thing. IDB is PS2 side. PS2 tool. The PIF. Okay. So it talks through some stuff. Retail console is similar to Debug Station. Mecha, that's what MechaCon stands for. That's cool to know. They don't accept master disk, magic date and DVD fully. They like the PIF, a virtual interface. Ah, yes. Because the tool has both of these things. Like, they're both part of the tool. It has a PC. What kind of fucking document is what is this? Why can I highlight the text in what looks like an... Is this a mermaid diagram? Anyway, sorry, that's not the point, but I'm impressed by this diagram rendering. Yeah, cool. So from the IOP, it sends it. Yes, that makes sense. You can make it to a retail PS2 over the... make it run a retail PS2 connect over the network. Like the retail... I mean, doesn't list the DCI2. You can't reboot the IOP without cutting it off. IOP is not rebooted during development. Okay. Tools that run on the PC. User manager. Nice. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Even if it can't do source, by source level, I can still put like a breakpoint in and like step through. Can I do that? Because that would be amazing. Startup card. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I don't care about source level. Like source level is good, but I don't necessarily need it. So it would be like having the PCSX2 debugger, but just actually on the console. That would be an amazing step. So I can't reset the IOP, but other than that, can't pass the D-word. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. They're mermaid dwarf debug info. That makes sense. Information cannot be retrieved. Don't support thread extension. Okay, nice. Huh. That's really cool. Substitute the kernel. You have to boot from a memory card. Okay. Copy your memory card, DSNet. Okay, I'll have to look at this. Let me bookmark that. That's pretty great. That's pretty incredible. Thank you for that tip. I've been meaning to look more at that for a while, but that would be really useful. I want to do some thread work, and I've never got PS2 SDK threads to work. For some reason, they just never run. So something like that might help me debug it. That's going to be next stream, hopefully. Cool. Okay, so we're packing these areas. Now, here's an interesting test. Make WAD. Let's run and let's see if adding those things broke. And they did. I don't know why. File not found. Load tiles test. Failed. For one thing, I don't know why we loaded tiles test, but for another thing, that wasn't what I thought would happen. Test load. Load, level load. Not that level load. Test load.c, entry 01. Why is it trying to load this file? Where is this even? Load this level. Why is it trying to load this asset? That's weird. Loading an asset. fmt.c. Where's tiles test O coming from? XXD entry 01.ps2 level. Let's see. Raw tiles. .tga. So that's in here, and that's good. Entry 02. Raw tiles. So where's it? What's telling it to load this file? What's it? Test. What did it say it was? Test tiles test O. Test entry. Why is it still trying to run this? We just changed the path. But that's weird. I wouldn't think it would try and do this. What went wrong this time? Assets. Failed to load this same file, huh? Assets. Failed to load. What's going on? What? When in doubt, do a full rebuild. And now it'll probably work. No. test tiles. Where's this coming from? It's coming from inside the level. Something's telling it to load this. Okay, we're gonna remove the build artifacts from this. And we're gonna rebuild this. So these should not. These do not appear to have any texture names. Also, hold on, let me... oh, hard-coded error. Oh, I bet that's it. I bet that's it. That makes sense, doesn't it? Apparently not. That's a good idea, Bobius, but it appears to not be the... Oh, well, this was. Hold on. But this shouldn't even be... Okay, let me... Yeah, it did. It did. Oh, wait, what the hell? Format.c. Testo, wrong thing. Yep. Thank you, Bobius. Thank you, Bobius. Incredible. Iconic error. I bet this is corruption from... So let's do this. Let's make WAD. Let's get rid of... Hold on. Something really loud is being printed here. Okay. Hold on, let's redo the compile. That is very funny. Okay, now we're gonna make WAD and make C source run. Thank you, Bobius, for having eyes when I do not. Entry 01.ps2 level. That's good. That's really good. Oh wait, no, that's the name of the thing. Hold on. Sorry, I'm with it. I'm paying attention, I promise. Streamer brain. Literally. I hear streamer brain can be terminal if you're not careful. You start referring to people IRL, it's chat. It's bad. Failed to load blank. Okay, so this corrupted our offsets or our heap somehow. Our data chunk, our data segment. Okay, so just to verify that this is the actual problem, let's go back into compile LDTK and let's get rid of this and let's make WAD. And I'm pretty sure, no, making WAD does not do this. So I need to Python assets. I need to make file rule for this as well. Compile LDTK game world. Okay. Now we make WAD, now we make C source run. Now it works. So it was, in fact, adding this line broke it. Now, why did it break it? Being able to talk, commentate, and work is impressive. Thank you. You know, being able to just run my mouth all day, it's a pretty important skill to me, you know? People who have worked with me in offices know how good I am at just crapping on all day. It's a skill I inherited from my father, and my mum to a degree. But yeah, okay, so what happens when we load this thing? I need to split some of this out. Hold on, I'm gonna do that now actually, because load assets, this stuff's good, but then we're kind of mixing some of our concepts here, right? Or maybe I just put it down, this function here, I'm just gonna move it to the bottom where it can't hurt anyone anymore. It doesn't really belong anywhere in particular. Is that gonna die? No, that's good. Good. Okay, so what happens when we load this? This is a big function and it probably needs to get broken up even more than I've already done. I did a little bit of breaking up, but it's not quite enough. It's not quite enough. Load level. Okay, so we do some reads. Where are our reads? IO read. We read the header. That's good. We read our tile map definitions. Also good. Thumbs up. We read the asset definitions. That's also good. Do we use read head again? Because if we use read head again, then that's obviously not going to work. But I don't think we do. I think that's the last read head we do. So then load assets should use these offsets, which is good. So here's a thought. Okay? When I run this, I should be able to see name offset, right? I can see what the name offset is, and I can see the length is 21. Okay? So if I rebuild this with this, and actually I'm going to add a makefile rule right now because I'm sick and tired of typing this. Phony. We're going to call these levels. Asset. It actually is going to have no dependencies because it's a phony, and also this is going to have no dependencies because it's a phony. And that's fine. The dependencies don't matter. They don't matter in that case. Because this is cool, but it's not really how we do things anymore. I should probably actually delete this rule. It doesn't really make sense anymore. We're going to say Python compile LDTK.py. We're going to give it game world.ldtk. Beautiful. And so before we do WAD, we should build the levels. Cool. So now when we make WAD, it does this compile first, and that's really cool. That's really critical. That's so important. Cool. So now we can run, and we're going to see, and I'm going to remind myself 247421. I'm pretty sure that's the same as it was before. I'm going to have to scroll a long way to find it. 2474. 2474. So what it means is by writing our areas in, we've forgotten, or we've kind of, and do you know why? I worked it out. When we compile our level, let's just get rid of some of the old craft, okay? We'll get rid of some of the old craft. What part of the thing that we do, right? We start this data chunk at the size of the header bytes, the size of this, the size of that. So immediately after this, the size of our headers is where we start writing, okay? So what that means is, immediately after our assets, we expect something to be there, and we have blanked it out with an area definition. So we need to add this. We need to do this as well. And so let's say area def size, and the size of that is 6 times 4, which is 24. Okay, so now if we make WAD again and make C source run, it's going to work. Beautiful. Oh, that's very satisfying. I wasn't confident there, but it worked in the end. Very low contrast between the background and the tiles here. So maybe I need to do something else about that. Maybe I need to change that. But that's good. That feels very nice. Let's change this really quickly. Tile map kind. Cool. Okay, that's a better name. So now we've got this area, let's try and load it. And that's going to be in format.c. Well, actually, it's going to be in format.h first because we need to define an area def. And it needs to be packed, so we're going to copy this because I don't like typing. We're going to call it level area def. We should call this level asset def, but we're just calling it asset def for now. And that's okay. So this is going to have, it's going to have an int 32t offset, and we're going to call it local offset again, because I think that's a good name. It kind of tells you that it's local to this level. Then we're going to have a uint 32t that's going to be our bounds I guess that's like our width and our height. And then we have a uint32t, which is our file arg file offset, and a uint32t, which is going to be our arg length, arg size, arg len. Let's be consistent with name. We haven't been consistent here because I think x underscore file underscore offset makes more sense than file underscore offset underscore x, but that's okay. That's okay. Cool. So now we also need to think about our loaded level even, and what it looks like to have an area in this. What does a collision area look like? Well, it's probably just going to be something simple like struct trigger areas. It'll be something like this, right? We're a trigger area, and we're going to have to move this out eventually. We don't want to clutter up too much here, but let's start with it like this. Let's say trigger area, and it should be singular because this is only a 1. The array is the thing that makes it more things. Okay, so a trigger area, it's going to have uint32t. It's going to have a position. It's going to have... No, sorry, that's an int32t. Then it's going to have a... Let's call it size. We're going to have an enum. There'll be area trigger load level, and we'll have a default here too. We'll say trigger nil, and then we'll have arg. Except I did that backwards. Car. And then we'll also have a size t arg len, because it will be 0 terminated, but we don't want to rely on that. Cool. Okay, so trigger area, right? And the goal is that when the player overlaps with this, we need to trigger something. Something needs to happen. Cool. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful tea leaf on my tongue from that sip. Good. And maybe I should just try and like draw this for now. Maybe that would be a good start. Okay, so we come in, we load this, we load these things, we load many things. Header, after we do the header, let's go. It's good to delineate these things a little. Again, this is probably a sign that these should be different functions, but that's okay. Sometimes you need big dumb functions because they just accumulate enough state that it feels like it should kind of go together. Draw it with partial transparency. Yeah, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. Don't you worry, don't you worry. PS2 is good at that. PS2 is really good at that. I might need another... See, I'm trying to not call my core library functions too much because otherwise it's annoying to stub them out when I build for Linux. That should actually be okay. I think that'll be okay. I can call PS2 draw directly. We'll put PS2 draw in here as well. Now this is the file for my level format, and I'm now including PS2 draw. So that's a bit of a smell, right? But yeah, so we'll come in here and then we'll say for int I equals 0, I less than, should probably also track area count. That's a good idea. Oh yeah, and we haven't put that in the header either. That's the other thing we probably want to do. Format.h, asset def count, entity def count, area def count. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Area count. Okay, so this needs to also go in the header before I forget, because otherwise I am going to forget. When we write our header, len maps, so it came after entities. We were going to have len self.areas. So for S, for H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5h. We're going, we're cooking, we're cooking. That is also good. Make WAD. Now this will break if I try and run it as is. Actually, no, maybe it won't. Make C source run. Oh, because I've half written code, which, yeah, is never good. Okay, actually I really haven't half written code. I don't know why that broke. What broke here? Loaded draw. Expected expression before return. 242. Oh yeah, I did half write code, my mistake. This is loaded area count. And this is in loaded. Area count. Easy. I++. So for each area, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say draw 2D set color with a U because I'm Australian. Draw 2D set color. Let's go for a nice red. Let's go for EO. EO OF 20, and let's do it nice and transparent. And then draw 2D rect. Should just be like this. And it's gonna be well, we need to grab the area as well. So let's say struct trigger area loaded areas we're gonna get it as a ref area Now we're missing something here, but that's okay. Size 0, area size 1. And actually, maybe I should just like copy this because we're just dealing with numbers. You spell it with the U in Canada. It's good. It's good to know Canadians are so civilized. You spell it the American way in code. I usually do, but for this project, because it's just really me goofing around, I thought, screw it. I like spelling color with a U, so the rest of the world can deal with that. If you don't like it, fork my code on GitHub. I love the idea that someone might actually do that one day, like fork my code just to maintain a patch that removes the U from color. I encourage this. I encourage this kind of silliness. I think that's all we need to do. Is that it? Is that everything? No, we need to add level maybe the level context needs to actually know. Wait, how does the level know where it is? The tile map has the world offset. Ah, interesting. That's very interesting. So maybe when we actually do this loading, we resolve it, right? Maybe this is actually a world position. Like it's stored local to the area, but when we load it into the game, it gets a global position. We can do that. Okay. We just need to remember to do it. So let's imagine what this next function is going to look like. Let's say load areas. We're gonna have the file name because we need it. Struct level header struct level area defs. The level that we're loading into. The level loaded does not keep track of where it is either. None of these things actually have any concept of the world position except maybe the header. Does the header know? The header does. It has to know. World offset. Yeah, the level header has a world offset. So we'll do that. So for int I equals 0, I less than header area def count I++. Literally, I would close that pull request. I challenge anyone to make those pull requests in my repo. It's getting shut down. So struct area def a is the address of area defs I. So the definition that we're pulling out. We're going to grab the name. We're going to do another debug log that's kind of like this one because it's pretty useful. Cool. Loading area, kind equals D, name, now this is the arg offset and arg len. And this is the definition, so we need to grab it from here. Arg file offset arg len. I forgot the kind. That's a uint32t, I think. Area definition, II kind offset. Then I also need the length, right? I need to know how much I'm writing. So that's kind of funny. Len a.arg. Cool. So that's more things. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this needs to be a 5. That's good. And we'll just call it kind. Because it is kind. It is kind. Okay, a.kind. And this is why it's good to actually think about your code. Arg file offset, and then arg len. Good. Sometimes debugging saves the day. Okay, so we're going to allocate the car name. Arg is alloc from we always have to add an extra byte because we're going to null terminate it. If not name, if not arg, God, I'm copying too strongly. Log an error failed to alloc arg buffer. And then we just read it. And again, I'm going to copy this because I'm lazy. And we don't have to do any extra loading, which is nice. We don't have to do anything silly like that. Cool. IO file. Now we're loading into the arg buffer. We're reading arg len. We're getting the arg file offset. We are reading until arg file offset plus arg len. Arg is arg len. We null terminate it always. Arg area read arg arg file offset and arg len. That's not what I meant to do. And that's it. Then we just have to put it into the actual texture. So, into the actual area for the loaded level. So loaded areas I. Let's go struct trigger area a now this is area. Oh no, we already. Let's call it la for loaded area. A offset 0 plus header local offset 0 plus header world offset. Then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to replace all of our zeros with ones. Then we're going to say LA size 0 is a then we're going to do the same thing, 0 for 1. Cool. Okay, this is good. This is good. What else do we have? LA, the loaded thing, loaded area. Kind is kind, arg is arg. Kind is a kind. Arg is whatever we allocated, and then arg len is a arg len, and then we return 0. because we've loaded it into our loaded areas, which has been allocated prior to calling this function. Maybe this allocation could actually be part of this function as well, and that might make a lot more sense here actually. But we're not going to do it yet. And we'll do the same thing. We'll do the same thing here. Load level areas. Loaded header, loaded area defs. This should be like this. My mistake. I keep getting my types of my names backwards because some languages do it backwards. Load level error. Excellent, excellent. Loaded area count is header area def count. Excellent, excellent. Now we need to allocate this as well. Allocate from, and then we do header dot area def count size trigger area. Okay, now the only thing I'm missing is actually reading the header. So if I make B right now, or if I make, it should build. Oh yeah, hold on, 290. I kept my arrows when they should be dots. Cool, and these are all just warnings, no? 154. Struct area def. Struct area def. Where does struct area def come in? Error load level areas before use. That's because we have to pre-declare them, which is, oh boy, just this alone takes up a fair chunk of this file, which is really, really silly. Areas, and then area def. Area def's undeclared. Yep, okay, so that's because we just haven't read it out yet. So that's good, that's good. That makes sense. So after asset defs, we're gonna go struct area def, struct level area def, area defs. Stretch bioinfo, gonna put your keyboard on eBay, seeing your relative lack of productivity. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Some of us work faster than others. You know, I'm slowing myself down by streaming all of this, but also keeping myself focused for longer, so it's a bit of a pro and a con, bit of a trade-off. But yeah, you know, it's not a race. It's not a race. You can go at your own pace. I gave you permission. You know, and the only way you get better is by doing it lots. That's what I always tell people. People are like, wow, you know, how are you able to do that so quickly, or how are you able to do that so well? Just lots of practice. Just spending all your free time writing code and obsessively, which is fun. Area def count. We're doing this many of these. Struct size of level area def. That's it. That's all we do. If we have not allocated area defs, then we log an error. I should really allocate this from like the other end of the allocator so that I can clear it afterwards, because this does take up room. It's probably not going to be a problem, but if we start overflowing our level heap, we can probably not allocate this into the chunk of data the level actually needs for like runtime data, because this is only used at load time. Or maybe we need like a special load heap that we can just like trash. I guess the only thing is, what if we try and load two things at the same time? Then we need to be a bit careful. So in a way, it's good that it goes on the levels allocator, but maybe we just need a different region of it that we can, you know, zero out afterwards, like start at the end and allocate backwards. Okay. Area defs. So then we're going to do this. We're going to do this again. And we're going to copy and paste, because copy and paste is good. We're doing the same thing a lot of times. Read area defs, read head. Now the read head, have I moved the read head? No, I haven't. So after this, I need to move the read head. And I'm probably going to move it after this as well. So we advance it by asset def count times size of asset def. Good, good. Now, the only problem is, this needs to be a multiple of 4. So we need to align this after we've... Oh, no, we don't. We don't, actually. We're not reading... We don't care about alignment when we read. We care about alignment when we allocate. So that's fine. That is okay. Read area defs. Area def count size of level area def. Let's just look for the word asset and replace it with area defs. Area def count level area def. Okay, good, good. So we've now read the area defs, and that actually should be enough to build, right? No? Control reaches end of non-void function. Ooh. Level area defs declared inside parameter left. Area... Declared inside parameter list. Load level areas. Conflicting types. Const car. Level header. Level loaded. Ah, I swapped these around. Which way is the correct way? I'm not sure. Load areas. Let's do it like this. Let's put... No, let's put area defs. Let's put loaded at the end. Let's put loaded at the end. I think loaded should go at the end. And then this should be called area defs as well, not tile map defs, because that's stupid. I need to fix these. Holy crap. These logger errors are so offensive. Then I need to also do this when I call load level areas. Loaded now needs to get swapped to the end. Okay. Warning. Did this compile? GCC game.elf? It did. It did. And we just have these really annoying... What is the wrong type? What's going on here? Int 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Huh? Oh, was that the wrong one? Hold on. Can't use blah blah blah. Argument 5. Arg length. I guess LU for uint32t. I guess. And we're gonna have the same thing. LD. I guess it's LU. It's not that many actually. It's 182, 217. Okay, let's. What was wrong with this? Long unsigned int. D expects int. Oh yeah, so this is also an a U, right? I guess it's just U. LU arg, that's okay. No, it isn't. That should also be a U. What else have we got? 217. These errors just make it impossible to like see anything. And that's kind of a problem. 182 217 still, what the hell? Long unsigned. Oh yeah, no, hold on. So they should be an LU. They should be an LU. Okay, I think that's good. 276. Not in log. 276. Let's say LU, and let's also put LU here. That's not what I meant to do. Oh my gosh, that's also not what I meant to do. format.c make c source. Okay, there we go. That is better. That is better. Int argument 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind offset. What? Loading area. Log debug. It says int 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind is unsigned. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I see now what happened. Now we're down to here. Here we return 0. You don't return 0 inside the loop, otherwise you only ever load one thing. So that was a good warning. And now we get no errors. Okay, there we go. You're immediately reminded why you dislike C formatting. Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's pretty gross. Oh, you know what's really silly? I had my light here the whole time. I could have been looking like crisper and cleaner this whole time. So thanks everyone who's sticking around, because now you get peak, beautiful, well-lit Tom. This is the benefit of hanging around. No, it's really annoying, because this light does make my stream look a lot more profesh, and so I want to start using it more, but crisp Tom. Yeah, exactly. I pop out from the background more, which is nice. Cool. Okay, so what happens if I run right now? I don't know what's going to happen, but let's find out. Probably going to die. Yeah. Failed to alloc an arg buffer. Oof. Heap overflow. Yikes. Okay, how have I... Oh. It's okay. I was worried that I was putting too much in my heap and overflowing it already somehow, but actually, I think this is probably the issue. I suspect the arg length is not... I suspect it's not 16 million characters long. Just a sneaking suspicion. Yeah. If I was happy to allocate 16 million characters, then we'd probably have a bigger problem, right? What, 16 million? That's still only like 16 megabytes. It would fit in PS2 memory, but it'd be like a quarter of memory or half memory or something, right? Just not sure about that 24. An extra 24 to make it a byte rather than a... Anyway. Megabyte, megabit. Okay, so the offset looks right, and the length is wrong. So why has this length gone wrong? Let's see if... Oh, also, hold on. Let's also just double check, right? Because this number is going to be a good marker. 2521. So let's go Python hex 21 15 15 and 19. Okay, so xxd. Let's look at... Oh yeah, and what file were we in? Entry01. Okay, so xxd assets entry01.ps2 level. So let's look for 1915. Let's look for 19. Okay, that's not in here. Oh, yes it is. 15. Somehow that's not in here. I would have thought that if that was the length it was reading out, that I would see that in here somewhere. But apparently not. That's okay. That's strange. We can see this is here, and that's good, because that is at, 9DO, and I'm guessing if I were to go 0x9DO, that would be close to 25. Yeah, so cool. So we're reading it out at the right place, and that's nice. That makes me feel good. I don't know why I can't see these bytes, because that makes me a little nervous. Like, where is that even coming from? Then this length. This length's a bit pesky. Okay, so here's where we start digging. First off, when we compile this area, right, this last thing we put out should be the length. Okay. So let's just do a dumb print. Let's say arglen arglen entry02 equals 8. Good. So that's sensible, right? That's sensible. And we write it as a unsigned integer, which again feels sensible. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's a hex offset. You're right. You're right. It'll actually be 2, 5. You're correct. It'll be 2, 1. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Hold on, it'll be 9D O. DO. No? No, except it won't be D. It'll be 09 something, right? D9. This is it. This is the offset. Okay. Bobius is correct as usual. Yeah. 9D9. 9D9? 09 D9. There we go. Beautiful. In this weird format, that's, yeah, hex 99. So, okay. We do the offset and then we do the length immediately after. And it should be a 32-bit number. How do I FG? Okay, there we go. It's the first command, I guess. So this is 32 bits, and then we have 8. Just 8. I like that. So I'm a bit confused as to why it reads it out so poorly. Where does it get so badly corrupted? 8000. Because it's little endian, right? That's how all our data's written. Little endian. All our data's little endian. That's what this little bracket at the start means. Okay, so when we read it in, let's look at fnp.h, packed level area def, we have 2, 2, 2, 2. Yep, everything's 32 bits. Everything's 32 bits. This probably doesn't need to be, but it is. File offset, arglen. Strange. That's this line right here, so it doesn't have a chance to really get corrupted. Unless we've calculated... Let's just try... Let's try this, just for the sake of fun. I guess that doesn't really make a difference though, right? Because it's not like we're overriding the data. I can see in the binary that it's in the right spot. We're just not reading it out correctly. Yeah, the same thing. Name. No, now it's something else. Ah, wow. Okay, now the length is an issue. I'm just going to run to the bathroom. I'll be back shortly. Let's set up a quick Quake bot match while I'm gone. Let's do a quick BRB. Back in a second. Another beautiful Quake bot match. I wonder. Um, oops. I wonder if hello the non-CPMA bots. The CPMA bots have really jerky aim, and Cricket suggested having demos instead of bots, because, yeah, it might be a good idea. I don't know, yeah. Oh no, hold on, this is... Wait, where's the non-CPMA Klesk? The dud Klesk. This guy can't turn his mouse. Okay, there he goes. They still look a bit shit. Maybe demos are a better idea. I do have a lot of Quake demos. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's actually worse. Yeah, the Quake Live bots are better for this. They're not awful, but they're, oh, they're not great, sorry, but they're not awful either. That's a better idea. The other thing, now that I've got this capture card, I might just record a bunch of PlayStation 2 game footage. Like do a playthrough of Ratchet and Clank, chop it up world by world, and just like pick a random level of a random game. You know the Ratchet and Clank 2 menu screen, right? Sorry, the title screen where they're like playing a console and different Sony games come up. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I think from now on when I do like random PS2 game replays, especially games that I can beat in a couple of hours, I'm just going to record them so that I have them and can pick a random one. Be more on brand for the stream. PicMip 16. I think PicMip 16 is fine for actual Quake streams. So like when I commentate Quake tournaments, I do it with and high PicMip just means smooth textures basically. But I think for a general programming stream, people aren't as tolerant of this Cricket. That's that's my thought. My Quake config is PicMip 5, which is the really ugly one in the middle. It doesn't have the cleanness of smooth textures, and it doesn't have the beauty of detailed textures. You're stuck in awkward no man's land. But yeah, that's my thought. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion, man. Okay, so I did this thing, and that didn't make a difference. And of course it didn't make a difference, because we're not corrupting data. I can actually see that the data is correct. I pack it all incorrectly. And I can see that it's correct, because when I look at this, and I find this, the length should be 8, and that's what this is. So what are we reading instead of this? Right? What are we reading that gives us something that's so corrupted? One idea is we're just not reading enough data. One possibility is we just fall short of reading this, right? We could be reading something too small. Level area depth. So one of our size ofs could be using this size maybe instead, or something else. So we're actually not reading this at all, and we're just getting garbage. That's a theory. That's a theory. So where do we read our defs? Area def count times size of level area def. We allocate the correct size. Area def count, read head plus area def count times this. Okay, that looks correct. Frustratingly correct. Yeah, frustratingly correct. We read it into here. Very annoying, very annoying. Okay, area def count. The compiler can't reorder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Level area def. Level area def. Level area def. This looks okay. This looks okay. Area. This looks okay. Let's do another log debug. Red. And we'll do the size. My quote key annoyingly sticks sometimes. I don't know what's going on. It does this. I can kind of do it. I think the keycap is buggered. I've got to work out how to fix that. The switch, it's always the keycap, not the switch, right? I think I might just buy a new set of switches. It also sits lower than the others. Something weird's going on here. Something bad. And we want to do this. Area def count times size of this, right? And how much have we read? What are we doing? What's going on? File not found. Read asset def size, asset, name length, not found. Assets raw tiles 0. Because this should have a .tga at the end. Where'd the .tga go? Make levels, sorry. Replace texture name, raw tiles OTGA. Assets raw tiles o.tga. Length is 21. Okay. This is a strange one. This is a very strange one. So we may be corrupting our headers, or we're I don't know, because the length is 21, so why are we not reading the correct number of bytes? Is this an alignment issue as well? Should we word align everything? 4 bytes, the same as 1 int 32. This is interesting. This is interesting. Could we be reading 1 int 32 too little? Sometimes, depending on alignment. Does alignment matter when I'm reading? It shouldn't, right? If I read like 7 int 32s, I can start that read at a weird offset. The read and write APIs should handle that. That shouldn't matter. Well, not matter, but it should be handled by the library code, right? One thing I could try is to word align everything and see if that's better. Yes, it matters, or yes, I should... It should handle that. It should handle that, because, yeah, you read all kinds of funky stuff with all kinds of funky alignment. This does not have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... Yeah, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. Another thing, it's always worth trying. Where are we? Tests. Source. Level load.c. We have this wonderful test, right? Where we can test loading this level and see if there's any error output. So let's try that. Source makefile level test. So let's go we need to clean first. Draw to do set color and draw to direct. Okay, so we're missing 2 functions that I added that need to go in our stub level load test. What am I missing? I'm missing set color and rect. Unexpected declaration. Yep, helps if you have a closing bracket. Okay, so now we can valgrind source, what do I call this? TST? TST. And the WAD is null, so that's source assets.wad. And we have some errors. We have errors because of this same issue. So that's good, so it's consistent, right? Printing a hex dump of the data you've loaded to make sure you're not going insane. Yeah, that is also a good idea, I guess. Well, yeah, hold on. So what if I just make sure the whole path goes into the file to begin with? Because it could just be 0 padded out. Entry 01.ps2 level. Okay, so the whole thing is in there, and then it's immediately followed by this, but we should be able to read 21 bytes from here. Super Cricket's off for a run. That's very healthy of you. I approve. Have a good run. Have a good run. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad you got your Star Trek fix in all 5 episodes for the year. Have a good one. Have a good one. I've got half an eye on the time because I have to speak with an accountant at some point today as well. Which sounds very adult and official. You'll get back on it? Nice. Yeah. Keen for the goofy Deep Space Nine updates. There's a lot of weird episodes. Okay, so, but the good news is Valgrind is not upset with me, right? Valgrind's not upset. Because we're using an internal buffer and managing it ourselves, this isn't as meaningful, but Valgrind isn't upset, and that's good. We're not overrunning a buffer or doing anything silly like that. Failed to load, because we're looking for this bizarre file name. Now, it's always nice when the bug isn't PS2 specific. At least the bug isn't PS2 specific. So what is going on? Format. Let's see. When we do our read, I guess we should print it out when we do our read. Load assets. Except we should do it here. Log debug red name s name name len. Then we want this thing that I typed out. Test source assets.wad red name. Okay, so it really does just not read the whole thing out. Why? Name length. File offset name plus name length. Name offset plus name length. So the offset is 2500, which is 9C4. And we're reading to this 9C4 to 9D, 9C4 to 9D9. FGXXD. No, okay, XXD. Nine C4. 9C1234. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I see the problem. We have 2 non-printing characters. See, this is the other thing, right? Printing a hex dump of the data you've loaded. Yeah, so let me do the equivalent thing. Okay. The first 2 bytes are non-printing characters. Yeah, 2. Excellent. Okay, well that's good news, because that's easy to fix. The offset's just wrong. Don't know why the offset's wrong. It's off by 2. I guess all the offsets are probably off by 2. Why would an offset be off by 2? An offset might be off by 2 because we haven't calculated header offset correctly, which is possible. Because I might not be able to do maths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That feels good. So what if I just add 2? Okay, what if when I do this, what if I add 2? But does that throw everything else off? No, that doesn't change our offset. Oh, because I didn't recompile. So that has promise. Except it's not 2, sorry, it's 4? It should be 4, it should be 4 bytes, right? Yeah. Finish loading, okay. Let's see if this works. Make C source clean. Let's see if we can run it now. This might not work for all assets, this might break other things, but curiously, this magic offset seems to do something good. Now, have we loaded our areas? Perhaps not. File offset arglen 8. That arg shouldn't really matter. Where is our area? We should be drawing one, right? Maybe it's too transparent. Let's go back into format.c where we draw our level. Let's make it fully opaque. We could actually make it super opaque, right? We could make it so opaque that it actually starts blending with other colors. It wraps fully around. And it's still not there. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, well let's log debug. Drawing area I D D D D. This is going to give me a warning. Area.position. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. No splat operator here. Drawing area 1 I. Huh? Oh, my mistake. D I. God, it always messes you up, right? Because I is a format specifier for int. Drawing area 0. 1, 6. That's strange. That's really strange. 48 by... Oops. Level info. Show me about this level. Whoa, that control zoom is freaking crazy. Okay, tell me about this level. Current level settings. World coordinates 0, 0. So this should be fine. We should just be at 0, 0. Shouldn't have to worry about anything. That's very tricky. That's very, very tricky. Okay. When everything looks good, but you just can't quite work it out. So let me just write these numbers down real quick. I think that's probably the best thing I can do. So 856, 136. 136. 856, 136, 48, 228. 2288. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, let's get rid of this. And let's go into our player and let's do the same kind of thing, but every time we update our player, let's just print out where they are as well. And let's do it when we press a button, right? If button pressed, button select, What coordinate space is that? Draw call happening in global space, world space. Hopefully. Actually, no. Rect is in rect is in screen space. You're right, Bobius. As usual, Bobius is spot on. I need to subtract the camera position. Context.h camera. Yeah, game context game camera format.c. Yes, too good. Okay, float. Let's call it AX, and we want to go context camera position. We want to subtract the camera position, right? If we're at position 20 and our camera's at 0, we want to be at 0. So we want to be at area.position 0 minus this. And then a y is... Yeah, no, that really makes a lot of sense, right? Why? Okay. And the other thing we need to do is clip it against the camera, but we'll get there. Oh my gosh, we're drawing something. The y coordinate is not correct, but other than that, we're drawing something. Don't know why the y coordinate isn't right. Okay, so let's make it a nicer color again. What did I say? FO, and this was OE, and I was gonna make this like hex 20. Thank you, Bobius. Yeah, beautiful. Coordinates are wrong, but other than that, we're very happy. Okay, nice. So you don't want this to happen with the areas that are supposed to trigger level transitions, because if you do this, then people will like jump over your level loads and the level won't load. It's a bit of a problem. Okay. Why is this wrong? Why is this going in the wrong direction? I'm guessing it's the right height, right? Yeah, it's not that tall. It's just the Y is wrong. Oh, it's the origin, right? The origin of this thing is in the middle. So let me redo this. Whoa. Let me fix this immediately. That looks familiar, doesn't it? That's exactly where it is. Whoa, out of bounds entity removed. Huh? Oh, we can't put it above 0. That's funny. Can we make that not a thing? Weird. Okay, well, we've got to have this slight gap here. I'm sure that will have no unintended consequences. Make WOD. Now when we run, we're going to see this thing's in the correct place. And this in general is going to be something we need to remember. Make things top left aligned in LDTK. I haven't done it for this because that's actually easier with interleave related things. This is also not currently the player spawn point that the game uses. This is just there for fun, as like a proof of concept, I guess. So like it's there in the file. But now can we make something happen when we collide with this area? That's the question. Yep. Skipping level transitions and load zones is a staple sequence breaking glitching technique. Exactly. I'm not opposed to that existing in the game. I have no problem with this. This is fine. However, you try and avoid it. You can't make it too easy for him, right? Okay, so what's the best way? Let's make this an API in context. Okay, so let's commit this. Source level format. Load areas. Okay, now get diff source levels test entry. That doesn't really matter. Wait, what did I even do there? Oh yeah. Source test git commit. Let's say LDTK level compile handles areas. Anakim Luke, welcome. Hello. How's it going? How have you been? Well, you're lurking, so I won't ask you questions, but thank you for stopping by. I'm really excited to get the workflow working where I have the game running on the PS2 and I can make changes here and like modify the tile sets to be less ugly and then hit a button and reload it on the PS2 while it's running, like reload, rebuild and reload it, and then see them change in real time. And then I can actually see what these textures look like, running on a PS2. I probably want them to be more vivid, right? Because that's going to look better. Cool. It's going to be a fun way to iterate. That would be very cool. Yeah, and part of the reason I've built the abstractions like I have is so that they can be very transparent. PS2 Link lets you reload stuff from the host file system easily. I would like to properly send them over the network instead, like have an actual networked I/O. So it's like my WAD API, but instead of that, it's mocked over the network. So you can edit some level. Yeah, I mean, like the idea is that it's going to be flexible enough for me. It may not be particularly user-friendly, but yeah, other people will be able to take this and build stuff with it. You posting a music secret breaks, making secret breaks harder. All right, I'll have a look at that. People always find a way. I saw a video yesterday about anti-shortcuts in Mario Kart 8, where people are able to do like corner skips that allow them to complete a lap without incrementing the lap counter. So it's literally like the opposite of a shortcut. You're kind of breaking the checkpoint system, but not to your benefit, just to your detriment. But they're just kind of interesting because it's funny. Like they can do 6 laps on a course instead of 3 in time trials. It's really goofy. Outer Wilds, the devs thought impossible. While a dev was watching, nice. That's always fun. I love the Psychonauts speedrun with the Double Fine team. That's a really fun one. Yeah, it's cool. It's always cool seeing how devs are like, shit. And they can usually see how it happened, and they're just like, they got me. What else can you do? Okay. So we can draw these things, and that's good. And we've committed everything, and that's also good. Let's go static int loaded update. We'll do an update function as well. This isn't really what I necessarily want to do long term, but I don't think it's so bad. So one thing we're gonna need, entities have positions, that's good. Equals context ctx get player. We want to be able to get the player from the context. We don't want to have static references to the player, and this isn't super efficient, but we'll go like this for now. Jeffrey shows up in every single stream where someone plays that game. That's cool. It's good to be engaged. I respect that a lot. So for int I equals 0, I less than oh yeah, we need to get the level data as well. We need to do this thing. right? Because our level, by coincidence, ended up at the top of the level heap, which is nice, which is convenient for dereferencing it later. Okay, so loaded area count. And we're going to kind of do this thing again. Grab the trigger area. Okay, if. And let's move this to its own file now at this point. Let's make a source game trigger.h. Cool, so we can define this, and then we're gonna need a few functions. We're gonna have collides, I guess. Trigger collides. Synapsido, you want the repo? I should really have a bot that does this, but that's okay. It's all on my GitHub. It's always all on my GitHub. PS2 simple platformer. If you try and use this in its current state, you will be disappointed, but you can follow along. Okay, so struct trigger area A, and then we're gonna have an X and a Y trigger collides point. Let's do this. Let's make this the main API for now. Maybe we want to do rectangle collision, but I'm gonna look for the middle of the player, or the middle of an entity to move through this. Cool. Okay, that's all we need to build. Source game trigger.c. Excellent. So if x is greater than or equal to a position 0 and y is greater than or equal to a position 1, and x is less than or equal to a position 0 plus a size 0, and y is less than or equal to this, but with zeros replaced with ones. And actually, we don't need to say if, we just say return, right? Because if this is true, we just return all of this. And let's put this and on a new line as well, because that looks cleaner. Cool. So are we inside this area? Beautiful. I guess that's all we need to do, right? Format.c. Oh yeah, we need to build get player as well, but that's okay. If trigger... So if this trigger collides with a point, let's go area player X, player Y. I missed a semicolon. I did. You're correct, Bobius. That's because I've been writing Rust. Rust rots the semicolons out of your brain, or cleanses the semicolons from your brain, depending on how you you think about it. But thank you. This is literally ChatGPT, right? Helping me write code. I'm never going to get sick of saying that. Okay. So if it collides, then we're just going to print out whatever the arg is. I think that's the most wise thing to do for now. We're going to say area arg. That's it. That's all we're doing. Just gonna log it out. Context.h. ctx get player. And we're going to return a struct entity. Cool. Now, all we're going to do here when we implement this for now is return the first entity, because there's only one entity and it's always the player. But in the future, we're going to actually do something smart. Okay, we've got some... format.c. Format.c. We need to go back. We need to include trigger.h. We've got some other errors too. No return statement. That's all good. Return 0. Oh yeah, we need to use loaded update. Forward declare it. Cool. Struct game context. Int incompatible pointer type. Float. Oh yeah, it needs to take a DT, doesn't it? That's okay. No, sorry for the interruption. Grand Platinum? No, welcome. No, you're correct. You are correct. That's a... Yeah. I mean, how do you know, right? How do you know? I don't know if I told this the other day. I was reading something, it was probably from the front page of Hacker News, let's be real. Oops. About how they used to do bot detection on YouTube, right? How they still do bot detection on YouTube. And how they used to detect bots on YouTube by finding comments that stood out from the norm, because most people were humans writing comments, and then occasionally bots would write comments. And so they would detect bot comments by finding the ones that stood out. But they theorized that at a certain point there would be more bot comments than human comments, and they would find bot comments by finding ones that don't stand out, right? They like flipped, and apparently that flip happened in 2018, where there was more bot traffic on YouTube comments than humans, which is kind of baffling, but also not surprising. Size T, not an STD in. STD def. What a header. What an iconic header. Okay, excellent. Run. What happens when I run this? Does it print something out? Yes. Trigger entry 02. Okay, this is good. This is really good. So, here's what we're going to do now. Okay, so trigger.h. We need... So we're going to run the actual event, right? We're going to run the actual event. This needs to also take a struct context, game context, right? We need the game context to actually do stuff with. Let's also have a struct level context. So the current level it's being triggered in and the game. Oops. Cool. Trigger.c. Okay, so this is going to be our big dumb switch statement, right? Where we're going to say switch a kind. If it's trigger load level, we're going to say context, we're going to say we're going to get whatever the arg is, right? That's going to be the name of the level. Now, manage to scrub every post you make with a URL without failing miserable to filter obvious bot comments. Yeah. Despite all the power of Google, they have not yet worked it out fully. I'm gonna put the full path of the level here. Asset. Actually, no. I'm gonna do that in the script. So the name, instead of just being this, compile LDTK, the name of the level. Area. Yeah, let's do it. Area. When we make it, let's say if kind equals 1, and we don't do curly braces in Python. We don't. If kind equals 1, then we want to say let's keep the raw kind. That's better. Okay, so if when we initialize, we'll remember the raw kind we actually passed in, so that we can do both. Level load. So if it's a level load thing, then we want to say that self.arg equals We'll do a format string. It'll be assets arg.ps2 level. What's the benefit of the static method decorator? I honestly have no idea, but it's a static method, so it can't hurt to decorate that. If anything, it's for me, just so at a glance it's more obvious what it's doing. I think that makes sense, hopefully. Okay, so we're going to remake our WOD. And now if I look at my WOD, entry 01.ps2 level, I should hopefully see entry 02. It didn't work. Oh, it's because this is called load level. Now we can see it actually gives us a level path. So we can probably say ctx load level. Now the annoying thing is we need an we don't we don't really have a way of saying load a level. We don't really have a way of calling this. I guess we do, right? We could do it in here. We could say, so if we look at test load, all it does is this with the current level. So we could do this. We could do this. Static we could do this. We could get the off level. We can do this. We can do this. We have a context get. We need like an anonymous function here, right? Because we don't have a way to pass information into context load level, we just pass this function, but this function needs extra information. So maybe like a level load function should have a void pointer or something with it. I guess we could do that. It's gonna break some stuff. We could say void data. Or even just const char arg, right? We could do that. Just pass in some random string data. And now we don't need that anymore. We could say fmt.c. We could say level load. This could now take a const char. This could be over here. We could do this. We could do this. Ah, that has some promise. This actually really has some promise. I think this is a needed change. I think this is a much needed change. Because now we could say context.h context load level. We pass in the context, and then we pass in load level, and let's call it fmt load level. Okay, this is good. This is good. I'm going to unfortunately have to go. We're right on the cusp of something brilliant here, but I'm going to have to bounce. So we're going to quickly raid someone, and we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this hopefully tomorrow. And it'll be good. It'll be good. We'll do good stuff. Let's find someone fun to raid. Thank you very much for everyone for hanging out. We've had some good stuff happening today. We're making good progress. We're making good progress. It's happening. It's happening. Same category. Let's find a fun stream to raid. Jai Custom Engine. It's kind of fun. AI Mayhem. AI Mayhem in Unreal Engine 5. That sounds fun as well. Oh no, let's raid our friend DJ Oslin Zero with his car kickflip. Wait, is this 5? How long? Let's pass the raid on. Let's trust this man. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see you all very, very soon, hopefully. I'm Tom, and I will catch you next time. Have a lovely day. Bye. And make sure to share the love with DJ Oslin. All right, see you next time.